Hey folks, I'm going to do a quick demonstration here today on the Rg556. You can see here this is in fact an Rg556. Just going to show you that Jak 3 and the Sly Cooper collection actually work great on this. So I'm going to get started. I'll turn off the light here and we'll get right into it. All right, so for these T820 devices, obviously there's some challenges with running PS2. One of the best solutions out there is to just use the right version. Now, the right version for this is going to be different than other devices, but what I've found here is that version 1.53668 is the most useful version, and I'll show you that real quick. You can check which version you have. If you just hold down on the app and go to App Info and then scroll all the way to the bottom of this window, it'll tell you right here what version you have. So this is one of the oldest Nather SX2 Classic builds you can still get, or it is the oldest. So it by far works way better on these T820 devices than any other version. And I've tested them all because I was desperate to get PS2 working on this device, and this is the one that does the best. So I'll leave a link to that in the description of the video that you can go get this version. But this is what you want to run PS2 on T820 devices. All right, so I'll jump into Nather SX2 and I'm gonna go to, let's go to Jak 3 first. Real quick before I load it, Jak 3 has a ton of problems just across the board with emulation. There's texture missing, there's all kinds of other issues, graphical issues that you'll see in general when you try to emulate this. I've resolved some of the more glaring issues with some fixes that I'll show you on the settings here. But one of the big things that makes it seem like this game is not going to work well is the intro video right off the top is not typically running well. Like it's laggy or it's locking up. And you'll see that it is actually running way better than one would expect on a T820 device. You're going to see missing textures. You're going to see some other things that are not looking totally correct, but it does actually run fairly smooth. And you can see the stats at the top are kind of dipping below into the red, but the video is playing and we're actually being able to watch it rather than have it stutter and skip like it normally would. So I'll let it play through here a little bit. Again, you're gonna see those textures missing in some spots, but you'll hear the dialogue and it's gonna be pretty smooth. You'll also see that they actually have eyeballs. So,
against the people, you are hereby banished to the wasteland for life. This is a death sentence, Fever.
All right. So I'm going to skip to a save state that I have further along in the game, but you can see here that the intro video is working great. So let me skip to that save state, and I will show you how smooth the game is actually running.
We have to find those kangaroos.
And right now I'm at a 1.5 resolution, which actually looks great on these OLED screens. So if you're using an RP5 or Rg556, Rg557, these screens, you don't need to blow the resolution up too much to have them look really well or really good. On my screen here on the phone, it looks worse than it actually does on the device, and you'll notice that too when you're playing. You don't actually need a 2x resolution on this to have it look good. Obviously, some people are more picky and they'll want to see that higher resolution.
Come on, Jak.
But you can hear that I've got good audio, good visuals, everything is smooth. Everything's working really well. So let me show you how I'm doing that from a settings standpoint. Let's just get right into it. So right away, and this is going to be the case for most games, you want to go to your advanced settings and basically turn all of these on. So I have everything in the first section here on. For pretty much every game that I've tried, having these on makes the game run better. So just as a default, get all those turned on. And then I'll kind of slowly go through the rest of the settings here. I don't totally remember what I did here, but you now have a screenshot of what I did. So if you match these settings, it should, in theory, run as well as mine is running. I'll scoot all the way down to the bottom here. I have manual hardware fixes on, and this is where I believe we have the texture fix. So this texture inside RT, this fixes the eyes. So if you got the blacked out eyes, this one right here will fix it. At least on this Rg556, that was the case. So I'll keep scrolling through here, and you can see any other thing that I've done. Again, I don't totally remember all of the things that I did. Like right here, I've got skip, draw, start on 1. And again, I went through all of these settings one by one and figured out which one performs better. For some reason, having a skip, draw, start at 1 is better than 0. So go ahead and change that as well. I think that helps with some of the texture issues as well, but make sure that's set that way and you should be good to go. The rest of these, I think I have them off. And that's pretty much it here on the advanced settings. The other major thing that I found with a lot of these PS2 games is on the audio settings. Having the audio synchronization mode set to async actually is better. And that may be device specific, so it may be the case with this Rg556. But I think in general with the weaker GPUs, you're not going to hear a lot of that audio stuttering along with the visual when the visual does stutter if you keep it on async. It also seems to give us a little bit more breathing room on the CPU when we have it on async. So go ahead and put that on async. You should see a performance boost there. From a graphical standpoint, I did mention this, 1.5 native. Jak 3 actually runs better in OpenGL on this device. I don't know why that is. Vulkan is typically seen as the superior GPU renderer, and in most cases you will get better performance using Vulkan. But in here on Jak 3, OpenGL actually gets you a little bit better performance. So 1.5 resolution, bilinear, these are kind of the PS2 defaults. I just left them. Anisotropic filtering is at 8x. It probably doesn't need to be that high. It does smooth it out a little bit though with the lower resolution. I know some people are hoping to get 2x resolution. This kind of smooths it if you've got that at 8x and 1.5. The rest of these, make sure yours match and you should be good to go. Let me just double check. Oh yeah, so host vsync and threaded, turn those on. And then I also have this FXAA shader on the back end. So after post-processing, it'll kind of smooth edges as well. Gives it a nice smooth look. Again, it's hard to see through the phone here of what the, how nice the image actually is. But on your OLED device, you're going to have a much nicer time with those on. It just looks a lot better. And I think everything else is at default. I don't know why I have this on, but I turned it on. It seemed to improve performance, so make sure you match that as well. And then one more bit of kind of performance boosting here is the cycle skip. I have this set to a moderate underclock. It seemed to smooth it out quite a bit. So obviously underclocking is kind of cheating, right? We're making the system work quite a bit less hard. So that results in frame drops and, a lower frame rate typically is what you'll see as a result of underclocking. But for this game to run as smooth as it was running, this was a necessary setting. I've also tested on all these games the affinity control mode, and every game seems to have a favorite. So make sure that for this game you choose this GSVUEE. I don't know what these mean, but it did seem to help with performance. And then multi-threaded VU, and the rest of these off. Frame limit. I don't want this to play cartoonishly fast, so of course I've got a frame limit on. I think it performs a little better. You get a little more headroom if you turn the frame limit off, which is the case for most games, but I don't know who can play games at 2x speed and enjoy it. So keep the frame limiter on. You do lose a little bit of performance but doing that, but it's okay here. You've got enough room to do it. And that's pretty much it for Jak 3. So again, Jak 3 running great. I'm able to, I was able to get this far in the game. There's a big battle before this and a few other things. None of that was any issue. There were some texture issues in the backgrounds, like stuff was rainbowy and pixelated, but nothing that interrupted the gameplay. And I imagine as I go further in the game, I'm going to see more of that. But right now, it's good to go. So I'll jump out of Jak 3 because that one is good. And we're gonna head over to, I'm just gonna go to the first Sly Cooper. And we'll get to the roof on this one. And we'll let the intro play. I believe these settings are gonna be fairly similar to what we just saw with Jak 3. The Rg556 kind of finds a sweet spot and typically stays in that space. Let me see if I can skip that. Yeah, there we go. We'll get into moving around. You can see the menu is going very smooth, and this is already a full render. We're actually rendering the part of the map that we're in right now, because you can see it kicks right in, and we're able to control the character from here. And unfortunately, I cannot skip this, and I don't have a save state. So we'll just watch it. And if you keep your eye up in the corner, you'll see potentially sometimes where it dips into the red, like right now. But for the most part, when you're playing, it will stay out of the red and keep at full speed. So now I've got control of the character. And I have to make sure my controller is set the right way. There we go. So you can see I'm kind of dipping into the red a little bit, maybe more so than I want to. But the game is running pretty well, and it's, obviously not stuttering. It's totally playable. I'm able to do stuff, swing, jump. Everything's going well. If you want to give a little bit more headroom here, you can do some more of that underclocking. Like you can add, I don't even know if I have underclocking on this right now. Yeah, I don't have any. So if I add just a mild underclock to this, I believe I should have no more dipping into the red. And you'll see it kind of gets a little bit more skippy this way. I don't know how better to describe it, but like it looks a little bit more blurry or blurred, kind of a slow-mo effect. It's very subtle, but as you can see right now, I've got no dipping into the red, and I think it actually slowed the game down a little bit. So if you apply the underclock, you can go to your frame limiter. And this is a strategy I've had to do for some games. Go into here to your system settings, down to frame limit. Keep that on, but turn the speed up a little bit. So if I kick this up to 110, and this is only for instances where the game slows down as a result of underclocking. Give it a little bit of a speed boost, and it'll come back up to normal speed, and you'll still get the benefit of the performance boost with the underclocking. And you can see now it's in green up there. And I think it'll stay 100% in the green. So this is another strategy to get the most performance out. This is completely playable on a device where a lot of people think that you might not be able to play it. So hopefully this is helpful. I'm not going to go any further into the game of what's there as I approach a key mission part right here, but that's pretty much it. So I'm going to actually show you the settings on this game just so you have it. Stand by. And you'll notice that I did just make those changes, so maybe this is the right thing to do on the Rg556. Mild underclock with a little bit of a speed boost. GSVUEE, I don't know why, but this one works the best out of all of them. For this game, I think it's not the same as what we had for Jak, but I'm not sure, I can't remember. And you can see I've got a little bit of a speed boost there, just to make up for the underclocking, slowing it down. This one, Vulcan for sure, is better. I still have it at 1.5. Again, 1.5 resolution for PS2 on these devices is great. Like the OLED screens are so nice that you don't need the extra. That's just me, and plus I get better battery out of it. Like I can play Sly Cooper or Jak 3 for a couple hours with no problem and get down to 50% battery. So it's pretty light on the system. We'll keep going here. You can see more settings. Settings. I'll keep my finger out of the way. And I don't have that post-processing shader on this one. I'm not sure why I didn't do it. I might add it. Might smooth things out a little bit. Audio, I believe I have, audio is async on this one as well. In general, with these devices, for sure, stick with async. You're just going to get better performance there. And then I don't think there's any game fixes. Yeah, nothing in here. And then there's the advanced settings. Same with Jak and probably all of the PS2 games on this device. Keep all of these settings on. So all of these switches are on. Now I don't have this one on for some reason. Maybe I found that on this particular game that was off and it was better. It also might make no difference at all. I'm tempted to just turn it on because in general, having these switches on makes it perform better. The rest of these you can see, not sure why I chose these settings and if they do appear to be a little bit different than Jak 3, but again, I went through these one by one and saw where it increased my percentage and decreased my percentage and left them at the more optimal setting. For some reason, auto flush is on this one. And the rest of this, no hardware fixes. So hardware fixes is disabled, so none of this stuff matters. And then down here, I don't think I have any other settings enabled. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, hopefully this helps you. Hopefully this gets you up and running on these games because they do in fact work on the T820. You just have to make sure you have the correct version of Nather SX2 and those settings that I just showed you. All right. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one.